welcome back. I'm Amyre Makupson. When speaking of addiction, we tend to focus on prevention. Joining us to discuss how some addicted executives are dealing with recovery is executive recovery coach Therese Marie. Welcome to the program. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You know, I don't think we think about, we know addiction does not discriminate, but I don't think we think about executives having problems.
Not a lot of people talk about it. There's a lot of stigma around the idea of addiction. Plus, executives have a lot at stake, and they're insulated too. When you think about executives, they're insulated by the people who work for them.
So mostly what they do is hide the fact then that they have a problem.
Yes, a lot of times you'll see that.
So how does somebody like you come in and are able to help them?
Well, a person like me would help that person only after they've admitted that they've got a problem. Until a person admits that they have a problem with alcohol or drugs or any other type of addiction, there's really nothing you can do for them. They have to be willing to take a look at themselves.
Now, does that person, him or herself, have to call you, or can somebody on a support team or something?
Typically, the person will call me. There will be times where a support member might, but again, the only person who can diagnose alcoholism is the alcoholic.
But how do we even know you exist? How do I know Therese is there and there's a whole organization that's willing to come and help me?
From conversations like this that are happening on shows like this, but also because I have a very strong network within the business community and within the community of mental health and substance abuse. People get to know who I am, but it's really through referrals that people find their way to me.
And is an executive more prone for it to be alcohol rather than other types of drugs?
I don't think there's really any trend. But again, a lot of times when people think of the executive who has an addiction problem, they're thinking about the three martini lunches or the scotch after work.
What's your honest chance of helping an executive, or anyone for that matter, but turn the problem around? Because it's a difficult problem. It's a disease and not a disgrace. Not a disgrace. How do you do that? Because I understand it's very difficult, and the percentages are really lopsided.
Yes, they really are. Typically, when an executive comes to me, they've either gone through treatment or they've, again, become willing to work a program of recovery. And what a recovery coach, in my case an executive recovery coach, will do is help support that process for them. In my case, again, I'm dealing with very high accountability people who have done their job in an altered state. And now they have to go back to being a successful business leader sober. There's a lot of things to sort out in that process. So that's what a coach would help them do, is to go back into their work setting and lead their people, but as a sober leader.
Does it, I'm kind of, and it is hidden, we've already said that, but then when they come back, is it difficult to get going again and to have people trust you and think that you know what you're doing?
Sure is. And those are some of the things that an executive will work out within the coaching environment, because coaching is a safe place. It's a place where an executive can open up the kimono and expose themselves to the light and not have to worry about anybody taking them down. There's no risk for them. Their coach only has their best interest and their success in mind.
Now, how long is the relationship between you and someone that you're coaching? Is that a typical?
It really varies. I have clients that I've worked with for years, but then the typical is starting out with a 6-month agreement that we're going to work together for 6 months.
That's a minimum?
A minimum, yeah, to really sort things out, because again, the person is completely changed. When they become sober, the game changes.
All while you've been talking, I just realized I've been thinking we're talking alcohol, but is it necessarily just alcohol?
No. It could be drugs. It could be gambling. It could be any type of addiction.
Is it genetic? I mean, why can some people do this and some people can't?
There are people who are predisposed. People who grow up within an alcoholic home, who have alcoholic parents, are predisposed to the gene for alcoholism and addiction. It's there. And I think that what happens a lot, people don't even recognize that they come from alcoholic homes.
Yeah, speaking of recognize, we've only got about a minute left. What are the signs? How can you help somebody that you want to help?
Again, the only way to help somebody is if they they become willing to be helped. And if I had to give any advice to anybody out there, any executive who is struggling, who wants to find their way to recovery, don't try to do this alone. You can't do it alone, so don't try.
They think they can, though.
You think they can, but you can't.
And then that gets you in a whole lot more trouble.
That's right.
So we can find you, we can call you, and if they are willing.
Absolutely. And it's completely confidential. Again, these people have a lot at stake. They've got to make sure that any communication with me is private, and so they can contact me privately.
Okay, that's a good thing to know. And we can give you some of that information on our website. If you'd like to get in contact with Therese, visit the website on the screen. Coming up next, compulsive gambling. The Street Beat continues.